Brought to you by 1AAuto.com, your source for quality replacement parts and the best service on the internet.
Hi, I'm Mike Green. I'm one of the owners of 1A Auto. I want to help you save time and money repairing and maintaining your vehicle. I'm going to use my 20 plus years experience restoring and repairing cars and trucks like this to show you the correct way to install parts from 1AAuto.com. The right parts installed correctly. That's going to save you time and money. Thank you, and enjoy the video.
This video is part one of a two-part series. We're going to replace the timing belt in this 97 Dodge Intrepid with the 3.5 liter V6. Tools you'll need for this repair: jack and jack stands. You'll need a catch pan, 10, 13, and 15 millimeter sockets with ratchet and extensions, and you will need some long extensions to get to a couple of the bolts. You'll need a breaker bar or something that you can get some good leverage on to get the bolt off the crankshaft pulley, torque wrench, a chain or a belt wrench, a 3-jaw gear puller, 18 millimeter wrench, pliers, and flat blade screwdriver. Okay, start out, use a 10 millimeter wrench and disconnect your negative battery cable. The other item to note is on the passenger side, right here. There's the radiator drain, and you should be able to use your hands and get up in here. I reach in there with both my hand and then use pliers and get the radiator fluid going. Okay, so you can see here I twist it and the fluid starts flowing, and then reach in there, try and twist it a little more and get the radiator fluid going faster. Okay, and now just take your radiator cap off. That allows air into the system, lets it drain a little faster. While the radiator is draining, you can start disassembling the top. There's a bar that goes across the top that has your hood latch, 4 13 millimeter bolts, and that comes up and put it out of the way. 15 millimeter wrench, loosen this nut on your serpentine tensioner. Okay, and then there's a nut way down there on your V-belt tensioner. Use a pair of pliers and you pinch the upper radiator hose clamp and pull it back and remove the hose. There are 4 bolts that hold the AC condenser, which is the radiator looking thing in front of the radiator here. You can see I'm releasing the driver's side, or taking off the driver's side upper there, and then now over here I'm doing the passenger side upper, and I apologize, I thought I had taken a shot of where these bolts are. And then you actually reach the lower ones easiest right through the front bumper opening, and you can see I've got a 10 millimeter socket with a couple extensions, so I can reach right in there and get to them easily. Okay, you do have to remove this 10 millimeter bolt here, right underneath the radiator hose, because it holds a bracket that goes to the AC condenser. Now you're going to remove 2 10 millimeter bolts, one you can see right here, and then the same thing on the opposite side. Okay, right down in here, see there's a little 8 millimeter bolt. Let's see, right on this bracket. Use a 8 millimeter wrench, loosen that up a little bit. Okay, allows this bracket to twist
kind of out of our way. Okay, now up underneath the car, so we're on the driver's side of the engine, and your tensioner bolt, okay, for the serpentine belt is right here. So you want to loosen that up, okay, until you can get the belt off. Then there's the tensioner bolt for your AC V-belt, really easy to get to right here, 13 millimeter.
Okay, a little fast forward. You can see I use a long extension, 13 millimeter with a ratchet. Then I get a little impatient and just put the air ratchet up there to do it pretty quick. Then the other side, same thing, extension, 13 millimeter, and loosen up both those tensioning bolts. Okay, from the bottom here, you're going to want to grab onto your radiator hose, and you'll want to have your drain pan close by, because most likely when you do this, and what I'm doing is I'm holding the clamp, twisting the hose, pulling the hose off, kind of curl it up. Okay, you can see here's my fluid. I 100% believe in reusing it if it looks good. It's nice and clear. It does have a little bit of stuff just on the surface, so I'll just run it through a funnel that has a little screen in it and get rid of those contaminants. You can see right here your lower transmission line. You want to disconnect that. 1/4 inch wrench or a flat plate screwdriver. Loosen up this clamp. Okay, and you can see I bring in a screwdriver. Kind of get the hose coming off there, then reach back up in with my hand. And when you pull this off, you're going to get some transmission fluid coming out. That's why you either, if you're going to reuse your coolant, I would put it into a suitable container and put your catch pan, or have a different catch pan underneath. And then when you pull it out, just stuff it up top so it's a little higher and it won't leak. And then one other thing you might want to do while you're down here is, here is your radiator fan plug. Pull down the little tab here and pull it off. Okay, disconnect this top transmission line. Same thing, loosen the hose clamp and then pull it off. Okay, similar to one down below. This one easy enough to get with the screwdriver. Loosen the clamp with the screwdriver. Use the screwdriver. I also use a pair of pliers. Just kind of lightly grab onto the hose, twist it, break it loose, and then pull it off of the fitting. Okay, now the problem becomes pulling this thing out. This whole unit was put in as one piece, so you'll see you've got a condenser ball down here that interferes with the tabs in the radiator, and then you've got lines over here that interfere. So what you need to do is try and pull it up and separate it from there, and then pull it out, kind of forcing it that way some, and using the big long screwdriver, you can kind of force your transmission cooler lines around the tab of the radiator. Okay, and really what I'm doing here is I'm just trying to push, there's a couple lines that kind of interfere with the tab, just trying to push those and get those out so I can pull the tab up and get the radiator out.
Radiator and fan assembly come out. Okay, now you can remove your belts.
Serpentine belt tensioner is held on with 3 13mm bolts, so just using a socket and ratchet, removing those 3 bolts and remove the tensioner. Here I'm going to use a rope or a chain wrench, and you can see that it has basically a belt that you wrap right around the pulley. Okay, and then it kind of just goes onto itself, and as you pull, it actually tightens itself up, and you'll see I just put a lot of pressure on that breaker bar, and eventually that bolt loosens up. Okay, once you get that bolt loose, you want to loosen it up a few turns and then put on a 3-jaw puller. Okay, and as you can see here, as I tighten that bolt on the puller, it starts to pull the crank pulley off. And what you'll have to do is a few times you'll have to pull on it, you'll have to back it off, loosen up the bolt a little more, use the puller, pull it a little more, take it off, back that crank bolt off a little bit more, and then eventually the whole thing comes off. Okay, now there's a series of 10mm bolts that hold both the stamped front motor cover as well as the cast, and you see I just used a ratchet and socket to loosen them up, and then I used my air ratchet to pull all the bolts out and pull those front plates off.
Okay, so we've got the covers off, and ideally you want to do this before it breaks. And there's some timing marks. You can see 2 marks, indentations on the top of each cam housing, and then on each cam sprocket you can see a little mark right there and a mark right there. And once you rotate those up to here, you should also have a mark that aligns with this TDC, which is top dead center.
So here I'm putting the crankshaft bolt or the pulley bolt back in, and then I'll use my ratchet, tighten that up, and then I can spin the engine using my ratchet handle.
And you can look down here, and as you can see, I went just a little beyond. There's just a little arrow on the sprocket itself that indicates top dead center.
And a little further explanation, because I didn't get a good shot of it. So with that little arrow on the sprocket pointing right at the arrow that says TDC or top dead center, if you go up to your camshafts, the small dot on the camshaft sprocket should be right in between the 2 dots on the housings for both cams. Okay, now this shot is pointing right to your number 1 spark plug wire. If you should break the belt, this vehicle does not have an interference engine, so if you break the belt, it doesn't ruin the engine like on some vehicles, although you don't want to wait until it goes that long. But if you should break your belt, what you can do is you can take out your spark plug wire and spark plug, and you'll want to rotate the engine block that hole with basically your with the palm of your hand. Have somebody rotate the engine, and as you feel pressure coming up that hole, that means you're on the compression stroke. So you feel that pressure, finish turning the crank until top dead center, and then you know that your cams should line up. You have to do this because the cams will actually go around one turn while the crank goes around 2 turns. So it's possible that if you don't do this step, you could align your cams incorrectly. Okay, again using your 13mm socket and a ratchet, you want to go basically kind of reach underneath and remove your tensioner. It's held in by 2 13mm bolts. You can see I'm releasing them right here. And then once your tensioner is out, you can take your timing belt off. And this is where we'll end part 1. So check out the same video part 2 to see how it goes all back together and replace the water pump. We hope this helps you out. Brought to you by www.oneauto.com, your source for quality replacement parts and the best service on the internet. Please feel free to call us toll-free 888-844-3393. We're the company that's here for you on the internet and in person.